All right, what's up, DFS Army? Good to see you. Welcome to In the Crease. We are recording live for tomorrow, Thursday, January 23rd. We're going to do this ahead of time. We had the idea to do it this way so that people don't feel rushed running up into lock, and that way you guys can also play around and get your NBA lines, because I know a lot of our members like to play multiple sports. So NHL and NBA always lock at the same time. So we figured, hey, let's do this ahead of time, and then you guys can find any point during the day to watch. So with me, as always, is Tattoo and Sean. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good, pretty good.
It's cold as hell.
Excellent. It was actually cold down here in Houston. We actually got snow, legitimate snow.
It was like negative 12 or some shit here.
Oof.
We got
about 2 inches at our house, but then there were some places here in town that got 6 or 7. So it was interesting.
2 or 3, but they say it's 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm. So with that, all of that said, we're going to dive right in. We don't have our research station up for tomorrow. It's not populated. We don't have the DS up for tomorrow since we still have a slate to go tonight. So we've got the anticipated, I guess it's power play lines for all of the matchups tomorrow. So the three of us are just going to kind of go through game by game. We'll talk about who's favored. We'll talk about, I guess, the obvious plays, and then maybe some of the ones that go under the radar a little bit. So that way you all have a good idea of where to go and maybe where to fade. This is a large slate. I think it's 11 games. And on those kind of slates, NBA is the same thing, MLB is the same thing. There's so many choices. The ownership is so spread out. There's not really anything that's terribly chalky. So it becomes more of your take on the slate, who you like most, rather than making the decision, do I eat the chalk or do I fade it? So let's just jump right in. The first one we've got up on the screen there is Ottawa and Boston. Maybe I can make it a little bit bigger. There we go. Ottawa and Boston. Who is favored in that one? We don't have a favorite at the moment. Boston is on the second half of a back-to-back. They're playing tonight as we record this. They're playing in New Jersey, which is going to be a tough one. So I think fatigue might come into that one. Tattoo, let's start with you. What do you see in that game that stands out to you? And do you like the game at all?
From a DFS standpoint, I could like it because their records are better than I feel like they are, but both of them kind of suck. Both of them give up a ton of goals. So I feel like I would probably lean Boston. Pasternak has been on fire. I think it's like 11 points in his last 5 games, or something like that.
He's playing like he's supposed to play.
Yeah, like Charlie Coyle is like $2,600. He's dirt cheap. Mm-hmm. They got some good players. You can fit in there. Pasternak, the only really expensive one.
And I think a lot of people might not go there just because they've just been so underachieving all season.
They're hard to trust. I mean,
Yeah, this is one of those games where I'm probably not on board with much of anything. If I was going to go with one side of it, I might have some Ottawa, because I'm not a big fan of Corpy in net for Boston. I'm assuming, I think Swayman's in tonight, so he would be going. But I mean, just in general, I think this is
got
like
a revenge game though.
Yeah, but also like it's this whole Eastern Conference wild card race is gonna be 30 games of craziness. We'll see who like sticks in it, like if my Jackets stay in it or whatever. because like the next game on the list is like the same thing, but like this one specifically, you know, like I know it says Marilinen's probably going to start and Allmark's because Allmark's been out, but like Marilinen's been pretty good too, and Boston hasn't like this year hasn't scored a shit ton, but like this just screams like ugly conservative game because all these teams want points in the standings. We'll
Boston
see.
is slight
Usually,
favorite.
Yeah. Are they? Okay.
And the over-under is 5.5 right now.
That's gross. And Boston's at home too, so that could be. But again, back-to-back for them.
Yeah, this one's probably a skip for me, but you never know. I haven't looked at the prices on the slate yet, to be honest with you. But we kind of generally know.
Yeah, maybe like a pasta one-off if you wanted to, you know, pay.
You had a couple of line twos from somewhere else that you afford him. Yeah, in your tournaments. Okay. Sean, you said the same thing kind of pops out to you about the Montreal Detroit game. Detroit's at home. Detroit's a slight favorite at the moment. They're a -125, and it's the same thing, over under a 5.5. Detroit had been playing well. They've kind of gone back and forth a little bit the last few games. So I think kind of the hot streak might be over for them. Montreal is just kind of being Montreal and not really doing anything. They're both in the thick of it for the playoff race. What do you see standing out here, or what do you like from this game at all, if anything?
I was meaning like same old with the Eastern Conference, wild card race thing. That's going to be a big deal. But these teams are actually just like stylistically, it's probably a faster paced game. There could be some goals scored in this game. It just depends on salary. I don't really like how ever since their like little hot streak, Detroit's gotten more expensive, but I think both sides of this game will end up being viable, in my opinion.
And neither team really plays a ton of defense either. So it could be a sneaky little spot.
Well, FanDuel has every game set at 5.5 for tomorrow if you want to jump on any overs. But Detroit is -130 favorite. But yeah, I agree with Sean. This game looks like fantasy goodness. Most important thing is we get Montreal to 77 points on the season, so I can win my bet.
There you go.
But yeah, this is definitely a game that I think I'll be all over on both sides.
I mean, Lane Hudson might be the front runner for the Calder at this point, or he's certainly in the conversation. And, Patrick Laine is just doing what he used to do. No, he's got 12 goals in just 19 games. So, I think your stack's right there. And you can mix and match any of those 4 or 5 that you see right there.
And they're affordable.
They are. Maybe more so than Detroit.
And Detroit's not bad.
No. I think you definitely want exposure to both of these teams in your MME.
I think DeBrincat and Kane are both in that 5K to 6K range. Normally,
All right. If we're good to move on.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The Flyers on the road in New York. The Rangers are a solid favorite. I'm seeing them around -150. Another low goal total. But I think a big reason for that is just Igor Shesterkin is playing like Igor Shesterkin is supposed to play. He's won 5 of his last 6 starts. He's given up just 9 goals in those 6 games, including back-to-back shutouts in his 2 most recent games. So I don't know if this is just him figuring it out. I don't know if this is going to be the start of the Rangers actually playing up to their ability, but it's a good spot because Philly doesn't really intimidate at all. I think Shesty is a solid thought for cash. Sean, what's your take on this one?
Very similar to the Boston game. I'm not really interested in any of the skaters, but I will definitely be looking at Shesterkin here. This is another, like, we're going to be saying this about most of the Eastern teams, especially, like, very few teams are dead except for, like, Buffalo, maybe Pittsburgh, I don't know, but, like, and the Islanders maybe, but, like, most of these Eastern teams are battling for every point, and this is torts, and against the Rangers, like, this is just sloppy, I think.
And Philadelphia doesn't give up a whole lot of 5-on-5 goals, so I mean, I would expect it to be a lower scoring game, especially from Philly's side, you know. So yeah,
I mean,
definitely not a game I have a whole lot of interest in.
Okay. I mean, the Panarin line is always viable. He's really been the only skater that's been doing anything, I think, to Sean's point.
Yeah, it's on slates this big, and I say it sometimes, like, in my notes and stuff, but there's a lot more darts to throw on the board, and our job is to, like, narrow the darts to the bigger darts, right? We'll let everyone else make the mistakes, and we're gonna just play, like, we're gonna narrow our range of outcomes and hopefully profit more and let other people make the mistakes. It's kind of a strategy.
Yeah.
And this is just like one of the spots where I would go underweight.
If a lot of this is math, you know, let's take out some variables and make the math a little easier.
Yep.
What's the next game?
Paid attention in school.
All righty, next one. This could be another little fantasy goodness game. We've got Sean, your Blue Jackets they're on the road? Yes, they're on the road at Carolina. This is kind of interesting. You know, Carolina's defense is really, really solid. Columbus plays such that wide open style, and they're young and they're fun to watch. So, you know, it's hard. Which way does it end? Is it a 2-1 slugfest, or does Columbus, you know, pop off? If Frederik Andersen is starting, it correct me if I'm wrong, it's his first start back from injury. So he might be a little rusty, so Columbus might be a spot to maybe look at or go heavier on. Columbus is playing tonight, so they'll be on a back-to-back as well. So Sean, I know that your team, so tell us what you think about this one.
Man, they're just so random. Like, I don't know what to expect tonight. Like, they could get crushed in Toronto, or they could, like, have a surprising game. Because, like, that's a type of game where, like, a lot of players, when they play the Canadian teams, like, they're from there, so they can get up for it. But, like, in general, a team like the Jackets and, like, teams like Anaheim or whatever that are, like, have younger rosters, I worry less about the back-to-back factor. They might be more amped up to play. I don't even know. But Carolina's tough. They just play. I mean, ever since Carolina's, like, hot start, they've actually been, like, mid, like, barely above 500. Like, they have a good roster, and they're, like, in the mix for JT Miller too, like, because they want to get a boost because they've been so malaised. But, like, they are veterans. They are tough to play against and at home. Tarasov would be an interesting GPP play because he just balled out at MSG, and he's like pissed off because he had a conditioning stint in Cleveland. Like he's a young guy trying to prove himself in his career. This game could go any which way, and like this is one where I might like maybe go overweight on like Tarasov even in like
in
big tournaments. Yeah, and maybe underweight on Carolina in tournaments, and then maybe like match the field for the Jackets because like you never know what you're gonna get, really.
Right.
I don't know what to expect.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they have talent, but they just haven't really. I mean, their record is solid. They're very workmanlike. Aho's talented. Nietzsche's has just been like you said, he's been cold since his nuclear start. Maybe they're just humming along until the playoffs, but they're not as interesting nearly as they used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard game to get a read on.
But again, if Anderson starts, I like Columbus in tournaments a little bit more, just from kind of the rust factor, too. If it's Kochetkov, then a little bit less.
Yeah,
because he's been solid. All right. Anything else pop off? Too bad the Jackets are priced up now. Unlike they were at the beginning of the year.
You almost have to have a name that starts with J to be on the second power play.
Yeah, Brent Burns just hanging out down there.
Yeah, the old man just hanging out.
All right, let's go through the ads right here. All right, another one of these. I don't know. Vegas against Seattle. Vegas is just being Vegas. They lost a few pieces, but they're as good as they've been. They're on the road, but that doesn't really affect how I'm looking at them, especially against the Blues. Vegas has a few hot pieces right now. Tattoo, you want to talk about them a little bit?
Yeah, I would also say I haven't seen the price, but I imagine on the road he shouldn't be too expensive. But Samsonov might be okay because St. Louis shoots so much.
They do.
I think
great play on DK.
Their opponent like every game, but yeah, I really like that Hurdle and was it
Dorofeyev?
Yeah, I like that line a lot. Especially like Hurdle's been really hot lately.
All three or those two, and then Theodore. I've written. Yep, those two and Theodore I've written up for tomorrow. They've combined for 30 points over their last 5 games. Dorofeyev, Theodore, and Hurdle.
Well, damn.
So Theodore's underrated.
Yeah, he gets overlooked a ton, and I don't know why. He does everything. 24 minutes a night, all 3 situations, scores, defends.
But St. Louis can put up goals in a hurry.
Yeah,
so
I don't.
Not a team I'm afraid to play against Samsonov.
Yeah, I haven't looked at these salaries, but just like it's like a weird bias that I have in DFS, even though like Vegas is the better team. Like they're awesome. I usually just can't get there with their prices, especially on a slate this big. But I mean, I definitely do understand it, and everyone's going to be low owned. But usually, St. Louis is underpriced, but I'm not positive. Like I haven't looked yet, to be honest. But they're usually cheaper than normal, and Samsonov is very hit or miss. Like he could have a great game, or he can get shelled.
Yep. Low floor, high ceiling.
Yeah.
But again, St. Louis shoots a lot, so I think if you're going to play him, I think focus more on DK with him.
Yeah.
And St. Louis is one of those. St. Louis is like Philly. Every once in a while, they pop off and they win you a tournament
or lose you one.
Yeah, that too.
They got a lot of, a lot of cheap pieces you can get in there to help you afford, somewhere else if you want tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Falk is always a good source of the peripherals. Parayko is pricier, but same thing for him.
Holloway
is
dead to me.
But yeah, some nice little one-offs there. All right, moving on, we've got Utah going to Minnesota. I am liking the Wild personally tomorrow night because there is a very strong chance that both Kirill Kaprizov and Jared Spurgeon are going to be back for them tomorrow night.
Ooh.
So the coach was saying there's a high likelihood that they're both back tomorrow night, which if that's true, that ups my interest in them. I mean, they've been treading water. They've kind of been, playing 500 since the two of them went down, and Rossi just came back a little bit ago from his injury, but they were rolling before the injury bug hit. So Sean, what are your thoughts on this one? Do you like any of the pieces on either side?
I would only go on the Minnesota side here. Utah, they have a bunch of talented young players, but Minnesota's D-core is probably in my top 5 or 6 in the league. Their defense is legit. Gustafson, he's cooled off a little bit, but he has been awesome. And also, if it's somehow Fleury, he's been legit too because their defense is so good. And just so people know, in hockey, Darth said, Kaprizov's probably coming back. That's not a big scare like it would be in the NFL or NBA, where you're like, oh, is he going to be ouchy or something? He's been skating. That the guys that are coming back have been practicing. They're ready to go in their normal roles.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Baseball, when they come back, they're ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like they need a ton of ramp-up time.
Yeah, they probably had it, in the minors or something, or simulated games.
Right. Cooley and Schmaltz and who's the other one? Cooley and Schmaltz have been playing well recently, so I think if you're going to do anything with Utah, I think it's maybe the two of them. They've each got 7 points in their last 5 games. But yeah, I would, if I'm doing anything, I think I'm leaning Minnesota because they just haven't done anything.
Yeah, and I felt bad for Kaprizov because Kaprizov was the Hart favorite. He was the MVP favorite before he went down, and then McKinnon just kept on McKinnoning, and so on and so forth.
Yep. Well, he'll pick it back up. So, all righty, what do we have next? Another kind of gross game, a little bit. I think maybe from a DFS standpoint. Although there's something to be said because most of these pieces are going to be kind of cheap. I think from this game. I don't know, Tattoo. What are your thoughts? Not to gloss over it, but at first glance, it's not doing anything for me.
I kind of feel the same way. I feel like if I did, I would maybe get some Calgary pieces. But for the most part, I mean, unless I'm going to MME, I'm not probably messing with this game.
I think for me, Dustin Wolf, I think, is in play.
Yeah. Even Uka Puka.
Dustin Wolf is an interesting futures bet. Like right now, I think it's Lane Hudson for the Calder, but Dustin Wolf, like Calgary is in the mix somehow in the wild card in the West, and I thought they would be a lottery team, and he is legit.
What do we have? 16-7-2. 16-7-2, a 251 goals allowed, and a 917 save percentage.
Strong. And I'm kind of with Tat with the Calgary pieces if they're cheap enough and they correlate. I always like if I somehow find myself interested, I always have to go online and like see what the hell they're doing because they got like a bunch of random young guys that are decent, not great. And then they have Kadri and Huberdeau, but their power plays have been like super weird. Usually it's like, do I want to spend up for like Uyghur or something and then like throw in Huberdeau or like Coronado always interests me, but it's like what's his role? Like it's always
they
changing.
mix their lines up so much from game to game.
Yeah. Kadri 6,300.
That's a little much.
Huberdeau 47. Coronado 43.
Yeah, literally no one's talking about it, but like because the whole trade flopped for everyone because Elias Lindholm has been kind of shitty in Boston, but like well, like for expectations and money, but like when Vancouver traded for Elias Lindholm, they gave up like Kuzmenko and I forget what else, but like Kuzmenko like balled out last year after the death.
Yeah,
he's like nothing. Like I don't understand what happened to him.
No, I think if like you're looking for a cheap stack, Calgary, some of the Calgary pieces are solid. They're currently in 8th place right now. By the way, they have the second wild card spot right now. They're a point up over Vancouver with the game in hand.
Vancouver, what the hell?
Tire fire. But any interest on the Buffalo side?
I typically would be, but their good players are priced up, like, so I'm not really going to stack them. I don't mind it. Like if you're doing like a 4-3, if you find yourself on like Jack Quinn or something or Paterka, but
the big boys
I don't
just
like any of their
doing it.
Yeah, like I mean, Tage kind of does it, but like on a big slate, in that spot, I don't love it.
Yeah, there are better options. All right, and maybe some of them might come from here. Now we get some little, name recognition. We got the Canucks and the Oilers going on. I don't know if the drama is going to continue for much longer, or if it's fun to watch. They're so good on paper, and they made it a year early and have come back to earth. And then on the flip side, the Oilers without McDavid and all of that business. So I don't know if that takes your interest in them tattooed down a little bit. Leon's still Leon. The Canucks defense is still solid. So I guess which way are you leaning in this one?
I would expect this game to get a little chippy. They don't like each other to start with. And after the last game just a couple days ago, I don't think I'll mess with this game a whole lot. I mean, Edmonton can still put up 4 or 5 goals, but I don't know. We have a tough time with Vancouver until the playoffs, but not a whole lot of interest in. I would definitely be willing to play Leon, Quinn Hughes. So I mean, there's pieces I would play, but I don't think I'll be stacking up either one of these teams.
Okay. Sean, how about you? Oh, I think we lost Sean.
Corey Perry, I'll just, since he jumped out, he's been playing really good this year and actually scoring. So if you did want, some cheaper pieces or one-offs, he wouldn't be the worst in the world. Arvidsson's been picking it up. So there's some pieces in there.
I mean, this could be a sneaky little game. I mean,
it could be high scoring.
Pickard is starting. Demko, he's not. I don't want to say he's not all the way back, but with goalies, sometimes it takes them a little bit longer to get ramped up. So again, they don't like each other. Edmonton's going to be a little angry and maybe want to take it out on Vancouver. But I mean, I could see a 5-4 kind of game from this one.
Yeah.
So I think in tournaments, you want exposure to both sides.
Yeah, for sure. So hopefully somebody beats kind of Garland.
I wish everyone wasn't suspended for this one, but I don't have strong feelings about it because is Draisaitl going to play 25 minutes, Tat? I don't know.
No,
that's your guy. JT Miller, I'm just shutting him down because he could literally be scratched tomorrow, and we don't know.
Yeah.
So really, you're either gonna go Pedersen and whoever he's with, and maybe Quinn Hughes, but then you're spending a lot of money. So you're invested in that game.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think both sides are tournament only. Yeah.
They're expensive pieces.
Yep. All right. Next, we have the Penguins and the Ducks. The Ducks are just the Ducks. They're awful. For me, I don't know that I have any interest in that side. Other than Pittsburgh gives up a ton of goals, I think more than any other team. So if you want some cheap, low floor, high upside, you can find some pieces. Pittsburgh, to me, it's Crosby, Rust, and Raquel, and that's it, really. They're doing the bulk of the scoring, so if any of the scoring is coming from Pittsburgh side, it's probably from one of those three. But again, it could just be a gross game that nobody scores. It could be a gross game that blows up. So, Tattoo, if you had to lean one way, which would it go for you?
I guess if I had to lean, I would trust Pittsburgh more, but I certainly don't mind taking some shots with Vatrano, Terry, and Lacombe. Like you said, Pittsburgh's not good. They give up a ton of goals. The other night, obviously, the goalie with the long last name had
what's his name, Kat?
His name is Alex Nedeljkovic.
His name is Alex Nedeljkovic, and he's from Parma, Ohio.
It's a very Ohio-ish name.
There you go.
Nedeljkovic.
He might
it just screams Midwestern. Midwestern.
You would ask me, I would have said he's probably from Iowa.
Because there's a huge NHL. He's stopping hay bales.
Yeah.
But
the Amish are big on hockey.
There you go.
But I'm kind of leaning with Tat here with cheap Ducks, depending on how they correlate and stack up. I'm just waiting for Leo Carlson and Cutter Gauthier to start showing their talent. The rumors around the industry are that the Ducks coach is a hard ass loser, and these guys don't like playing for him, and they're young and talented and exciting. Kind of like the opposite, the Blue Jackets, where they're young and the coach is letting them skate around and figure it out. where they have like a structure and they don't know how to play it yet because they're super young. Like, but Pittsburgh, old slow team in general, and Anaheim's goaltending has been pretty good this year. So if I was going to go one way, I'd probably go with some cheap Ducks, but I'm not in love with it.
Yeah. Are we in love with the Washington side in this next one?
Oh, we is. He definitely is.
Now, yeah, Seattle's defense isn't the worst, but their offense is just abhorrent. And the Caps are just, one of the most complete teams in the league this season. Their defensive additions in the offseason have caught up to their offense, and, Ovi's being Ovi, and, all of that. So Washington's one of my favorite stack spots on the slate. Sean, what do you think? What's your thought?
Well, this is the beauty of NHL like fantasy, and even though we disagree, like we could both be right because they have been awesome. But even though he's never done it in his career, Ovi could regress to the mean a little bit, and both of these goalies are good as hell. Like Decord is like, if they had two Decords instead of Decord and Grubauer, they'd be in the wild card mix in the West. And both goalies in Washington are awesome. I actually put a little bet on Logan Thompson Vezina at 10,000 plus 10.
He's unreal.
He's like 21-2.
I
like
remember when he was in Vegas, he was great.
But yeah.
And then he got hurt, and Aiden Hill came in and took his job, but he was.
Yeah.
He's the best. He's the best contract in the league. He makes $800,000.
Tom Wilson tomorrow too. Yeah.
Oh, Tom Wilson's having a season. Definitely.
He's starting to play in front of the net a lot more and get a lot of easy tip-ins. Chikrin, Carlson.
But yeah.
But
my bad.
I'm sorry. But I was going to say that Lindgren, I agree. He's a great goalie. His numbers aren't as good because Washington sometimes doesn't just seem to play as well when he's in net. But I'll be all over the Cap side, but I don't think I'm going to fart with Seattle.
Yeah, so it sounds like
I'm never going to pick on Washington.
It sounds like the Caps are in play then. If you guys like them, we're going 2 for 3 here. I'm just Xing this game out. But
yeah.
If you guys like Caps, then, I mean, they have proven me wrong all year. So,
yep. All right. And then we have one more. Yeah, we have one more.
Yeah.
The suddenly playing up to their talent level Nashville Predators against the lowly San Jose Sharks. The Sharks are going to turn around eventually, and they're kind of like they're older than the Blue Jackets, but they're just kind of fun. They're fun to watch. They're fun to roster. Forsberg is playing like Forsberg. I think he's got 6 goals in his last 5 games, and then like another 5 assists. Stamkos has got 4 in his last 5. Yossi's back. And maybe this is the spot that maybe it took them a half a season. They finally figured it out. But this is a good environment maybe for both sides because the Preds haven't been the best defensively either. So this might be a sneaky spot for those reasons and the fact that it's a late game. What do you all think? What do you guys think?
I'm going to start real quick with, because they played 2 nights ago or something like that.
That's right. It was 7-5 or something like that.
Yeah, that game I took.
Night come back.
On Bet365, they have the early payouts. So I took San Jose, and they got up by 3 goals, and I won.
You got the auto payout, and then you bet the other side.
And then I went and put money on Nashville.
Oh, epic!
Because the easiest bet in hockey is to let San Jose get enough goals to let the other team be plus money,
mm-hmm.
and then just sink the other team because they're going to shit the bed by the second or third period. But
Pittsburgh didn't happen.
Tomorrow night they're going to be a home dog, so I can assure you I'll be putting money on San Jose, at least on Bet 365 where I can get an early payout. But I think this, as big as the slate is, will still be probably where some of the chalk resides. So I think you're going to probably have to have some Nashville. But I think it's a good game stack too. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing because you're forgetting that this is Yaroslav Askarov revenge season. He hates them. They let Georgiev shit the bed, Forgiev last game, and now it's Askarov time. And if this game is chalky, I'll be contrarian and just take the goalie and say screw you, because I'm not stacking against UC Saros either. So there you go.
I mean, Askarov is going to be what, probably 6,900 tomorrow?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Great tournament option.
Oh, my hungry Sharks.
Yep. And the Sharks have some nice pieces too. I'm still angry at Yzerman for salary dumping Jake Wallman.
Yeah.
But this would be a good game to probably attack your single entries and, smaller fields, just because you're going to almost need a couple pieces maybe. Or like Sean says, take a piece or two from Nashville just to block and then go somewhere else.
Yep.
Yeah, if they end up being chalky in like small single entries. But like I know the Four Nations teams are like stacked, especially like their forwards. But like, how the hell does William Eklund not make Team Sweden? Like, I don't understand. And he's a young guy that you'd think they'd want to like groom. Like, put that dude on the fourth line with like William Karlsson. You got a good fourth line. I forget who like the rest of their team was like in the back end, but
I like
good.
I like San Jose more if Toffoli's back tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, I think that does it.
He deserves to play on a winner.
He does. He was on the Devils for a while.
Yeah.
But all right, Sean, favorite spot or spots tomorrow night? Favorite stacks?
I don't even remember them. It seems like just from the projections that I'm probably going to have whether the cheap goalie is like Tarasov or Askarov.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm lagging out or not, but
you're good.
Yeah, I'm probably going to do one of those, and then I really like that Detroit-Montreal game. Yeah, Tat, you can take over for a second. Let me look at these.
Montreal and Detroit stand out. Vegas and a little bit of St. Louis.
Yeah.
Minnesota pending news. Like the Caps, like some cheap Anaheim, and I don't know, Nashville, San Jose just screams goals, but it's hockey. It'll be 2-1. So
it will be, especially because two nights from tomorrow, but last night it's 7-5, so it'll be.
I guess your Edmonton, Vancouver is your sneaky spot if you want to pay up.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with all that. I think Shesty is your cash goalie.
Yeah.
I do like a little Columbus again if Frederik Andersen starts. I like them a little bit more in your tournaments. The Wild, like you said, pending the Kaprizov.
Yeah, it also depends on what happens.
Mm-hmm. The Flames for cheap.
Better.
Mm-hmm. The Flames for cheap.
Yeah,
for me. I don't hate the Crosby, Rust, Raquel, or like y'all talked about before, some of the cheaper pieces from Anaheim as kind of a fill-in if you need it. I like Washington tomorrow, just because they're just been kind of a machine all season. Yeah, I think there's some good spots to go at. I think, like you all said, mitigate the spots that don't really make sense. On the large slates, you just kind of have to take a stand on the spots that you think will do well. In your 150 max, it makes a little sense to have a little exposure to all of them. But for the smaller field stuff, take your stands, take your 6-7 teams that you like, take your 2 or 3 goalies, and just mix them in different ways.
It's got some good pricing tomorrow. You got John Gibson's going to be 7,200, Askarov 71, Demko, if you think Edmonton's going to shoot a ton, but he stops them. And Tarasov is 6,900.
Wow, that's cheap.
Decord 73, but Washington doesn't shoot a ton,
right?
So Monty Bolt 75, Uka 76. Then after that, now like Samsonov, I don't know if I want to pay 8,000 for him.
Right.
Definitely not paying 8,200 for Pittsburgh's goalie.
All right. So Tattoo, I think Sean's been having technical difficulties all session. So Tat, if you don't have any final thoughts, hopefully this works best for you all who are interested in how we break down the slate. This should be posted at some point tonight, so you'll have tonight and then anytime tomorrow to kind of watch it at your leisure. As always, we are always in Discord, so hit us up with any and all questions.
And tag too,
Yes.
Like, tag one of us.
Yep. All right. I guess with that, we will sign off. The slate has already started tonight, I think.
Yeah, it's like
I don't know if it was a 6.
I think it was 1-7 and then a 7:30, or
that's what it was.
6:30.
That's what it was. All right. So thank you all as always. Helmets up, and we will talk to you all next time. Take care.